Hello, my name is Dylan Butterbaugh of Manoa Chocolate, Hawaii, and today I am going to talk to you about molds. Molds are something that every craft chocolate maker needs. In fact, most people who work with chocolate in general, because you have to put it into a shape. We've worked with 3 different mold companies over the last couple of years, and there's very different reasons to do that and different pricing that they offer. So we're going to run through everything that we've learned with you as well as the pricing. The first thing that I want to start with is the generic molds that we have here. We do this for our private label accounts who don't want our label on it. No problem. We're chocolate makers. We don't have an ego involved, and we're happy to make other people's chocolate because that's what we do. Now, the break lines on this are really nice. We found that it is one of the more desirable traits that a customer looks for when they have a chocolate bar. They don't really care that we designed the heck out of this. This is very intricate and it's very pretty, but we're finding that customers are much happier being able to break off 3 pieces at a time or 1 piece at a time. So before we go too much into it, if you can buy a generic mold without being customized that has break lines, it might be a really good way to start instead of spending thousands of dollars customizing a mold. One more thing about this mold, it's all glossy and shiny. It's going to show every imperfection. So there's a coating that I would get on these really shiny types of molds, and it's an effect. It kind of looks like a matte, so that when it separates, when the bar cools and contracts away from the mold, it's not going to show release marks, and it'll have a textured effect. I would strongly recommend that. It'll hide the imperfections. So yeah, on these types of molds, I would definitely do that. Now you can see in this one here, we've got so much design, you're not gonna see the release marks as easy except for around the logo where there is also this shiny glossy area. So try and avoid that if you can, because it will become an issue when you're cooling and tempering your chocolate bars. These 3 here in front of me are from a company on the east coast of the United States called Tomric. And Tomric, we've gotten probably 6 different sets of molds with them. And these are polycarbonate. So they customized this size and do a tooling fee in order for it to fit our depositing head on our tempering machine. So when we temper our chocolate, we have a specific doser that will dispense chocolate into each cavity of the mold. The tooling fee, and all companies that we've worked with who make molds have a tooling charge, for them is $850. So right off the bat, you're paying $850 for them to tool your customized design. Then, if you want a better rate, you have to buy volume of whatever that is. So in this case, if you need to buy at least 100 customized molds to get the rate of, at the last time we checked, $14.50. So you're already a few $1,000s in at this point. We wanted to add as many bars on our depositing head and on our mold as we could. Because if we're going to stand there and stick a mold under a depositing head, I would way rather have 5 bars made in that one time than 4 or 3. Because if you do the math over a day, over a week, over a year, it's a lot more bars for the same amount of work. So keep that in mind. These are our 20-gram bars. We put 10 of them on here, and that worked out really well. So same idea, same fees, Tomric. Now there's also different gauges. I want to say this is 0.08 gauge. I think this is the thickest that they offer, whereas this is less. They work the same. However, this will crack on us sooner. I don't know when. It will definitely break. Molds are not something that you can be fragile with. You're banging them, you're vibrating them. This has a much shorter life than these guys. Moving on. This is the most recent one we've gotten for our new 60-gram bars. The reason we did this is because we got an automated molding line. And this is the standard size mold that almost everything comes in. It's 275 by 175 millimeters. So that's just the way that the chocolate world works for, at least from what we've found, the semi or automated molding lines. So we just talked about this a little bit ago in a different episode, and what we wanted to do is still have a customized mold, since we had to make molds anyway, and to have brake lines, but we wanted to think it through a little more than our traditional brake lines that you see in every chocolate bar that we've grown up with. We want you to be able to break off one piece at a time. Not 3 pieces, but we want you to get approximately 5 grams. And so in this case, you can break off one corner, you can break off the next corner, then you can break off the middle, and you can keep going all the way to the point where you're only left with this 10-gram square. So that was our fun way of thinking through our mold design and still having our Hawaiiana Polynesian type of pattern. So this is from Cabrillone. They are in, I want to say, northern Italy, and the tooling charge was really expensive. It was 1,900 euros, but we found them really capable of doing the more complicated mold design like this. And after the 1,900 euro charge, it was 7 euros and 50 cents per mold, and we did 200 molds. In hindsight, now that I've been using the machine for a couple of weeks, we wouldn't get 200 molds because you have to store them. And the machine uses 96 molds in the cooling tunnel and maybe 30 more. So I would have done maybe 180 molds just because I don't want to store additional stuff. And these don't stack, they don't nest in each other. Like these guys, you can see that the way that they are, they can sit in each other and they stay more stable. If you try and stack these guys, they slide all over the place. So it's just a disaster waiting to happen unless you have a really good way of securing them. These are our 20-gram molds. We went with a company called MFS. They are out of Turkey, and they were by far the most affordable, and they were relatively easy to work with. There was a language barrier, but it was a $900 tooling charge for our specific mold, for our specific 20-gram design, and then it was $6 per mold, and we also did 200 of these. Besides the communication issues in English, they did a great job. This isn't the first time we've used them too. For another private label account, they also produced a mold that was fine. It worked great. So those are 3 different mold companies that all had different purposes for the reason we went with them. All right, so that's molds. I'm really hoping that this was helpful because we've learned a lot about them over the years, and I wish I knew this before I had started. So good luck, happy chocolate making, see you next time.